Here you go. All right, guys. So we are going to talk about schedules and planning for the next school year. So I think the best way is to show you what I'm thinking we will make. Share screen. Again, I am a Google Meet person, so fabulous. Okay, so this is what I'm thinking. This is my schedule that I typically make in a year. I'm gonna change my layout here. All right, and so what I do, hold on, I forget mine the other way. There it is. Okay. Okay, so what I typically do is I set up the increments that I want on the side. So I prefer to do the 15-minute increments because our class periods are 45 minutes. So it just makes more sense that if I need to do like stations or a change for class or whatever it is, I can do that. Hold on, can you guys see that? This is like the weirdest thing. Oh. Okay, sorry. Again, Zoom, trying to figure it all out. Cancel. What is going on? Okay, you guys can see this, right? Okay, I was like, you're actually looking at what I'm looking at totally something different. Okay, so I said 15-minute increments on the side, and then I like to do it with the days of the week up the top. It's just easier for me to see the whole master plan, and it just kind of helps me visualize it better. I know you can also do it as all the students at the top. If that's easier for you, do it that way, right? Why does it keep telling me end meeting for all? I really don't know, guys. All right, so I'm gonna head over here. New share. We're gonna share this one, okay? So if you are a paper pencil person, that's totally fine. If you are not a paper pencil person, I am a spreadsheet kind of person, so I need to see it. So I kind of set this up already on the side. This is my class periods. This is my times. And bell schedule is what I do. That's why it looks so wonky and like the times are so off. So, and then again, I put my dates on the top, or days of the week on the top. Okay. You might want to put your schedule like with a block open like this, so you can see like this is a class period, or this is a, you get the point, right? Questions so far? No. Okay. Like I said, you can do it where you can add a student. So typically I do a master schedule and then I break it down for each student that I have, so that if there's a special time that they are meeting with the OT, a special time they're meeting with the social worker, whatever it is, I've just found it's easier for me to see it that way. This is a good plan to have if you are having a substitute. They can see it all on one page, right? They might only be there Thursday, but they can see it column straight down. They don't have to flip back and forth on a Monday or on like a period 1, period 5 on certain days, because we know they change from day to day. At least in my class, they do. You start with your non-negotiables. When is your student's lunch? You can't change that. When is their elective or recess time? Buses, you might want to leave a couple minutes of, to get into the classroom and to leave the classroom. These are things you just have to think about in your schedule, right? My students take community trips once a week. So I have to put that in the schedule. Make sense? Okay, so if I was to go through this right now, I know typically third period is my students' elective. So let me see if I can move that for a second. Okay, so I'm going to block it. Actually, block it there. And then I'm going to put elective. Okay. My text, I'm going to make black. And then you can copy and paste that all the way through. So that entire time they're going to be at their elective. That's my plan period. That's something I know is not going to change, at least for this semester or quarter or however it works for you. Okay. The other thing I have is my students usually have a 5th period lunch. I teach middle school, so that's why there's an elective that's usually pretty set, and a lunch that's usually pretty set. Okay. So those I kind of gray out so that I know like those cannot like be done at all. Like I can't move those. Those have to be there. Makes sense. I feel like all of you kind of have that idea. You know that already, which is fine. So all students have elective at the same time. Yes. So yes, my students do have elective all at the same time. I know some people, they might have a 6th grade, a 7th grade, an 8th grade, whatever, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, whatever grade you teach, they might have different ones. So that's where the individual schedules for each student would come in play, which I feel like is more helpful versus the larger schedule. So if you don't have a set electives time for every student, that's fine. You can fill in what your normal day would look like if everybody was in the room, nobody was leaving. That's what it would look like. Hope that makes sense. So at the beginning, I usually leave some time for arrival. Maybe the kid eats breakfast, something like that for the first 15 minutes, right? They have to unpack their backpack, put it in a locker, come check in with you, eat breakfast, not eat breakfast, have a sensory break, whatever it is. I usually leave the first 15 minutes is just unwinding because buses get here late, buses get here early because that always happens too. And then again at the end of the day, it's dismissal, right? Okay, so trying to think what else is like a major thing, right? I do cooking on Fridays, 8th period, so I might plug that in. I do, like I said, community trips 5 through 7, so that would be whole blocks there. If students need to eat, since it's part of that, and if say we're going to the fire station, they're not going to eat at the fire station, I might have to give like a lunch break in here for them, right? All things to kind of consider. Again, I think you all have a general idea how to do that. Okay, from there, I think the best place to go, other than medical needs, toileting, things like that, that definitely has to be a part of your day, something to consider. Like you're not going to make them go from 8 to noon without a bathroom break, right? I might put a 15, 20-minute session where we all go to the bathroom, we all come back, that type of thing. Okay. Makes sense so far. Any questions? I have a tendency to talk fast. So I just want to make sure everybody's good. Okay. I also know my students fatigue by the end of the day. So you see we have 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th period at the end of the day. Something to consider is where your students, start falling off kind of thing, right? When you can tell they're being not as attentive. That might not be the case with you, but it's something I have to consider. I'm a self-contained life skills teacher. So at the end of our day, we usually have a leisure time, or, it's less structured, less rigorous. I might throw all of my academics in the morning, which is exactly what I do. Usually first period, we do a homeroom, morning meeting, check-in, all that fun stuff. My second period is my math. And so that could be math stations, that could be math rotations or centers or something like that. And that's why I do the 15-minute increments. So when I'm on another student's, an individual student's one, then I can see, they're going to work with me for the first 15 minutes. Then they're going to go to an independent workstation. And then they're going to work with my paraprofessional or assistant for the last 15 minutes. And then I know where everybody's at. Oh, the other one I forgot was PE, which makes sense. So you want to make sure you throw PE in here too, wherever that schedule is. My PE flip-flops every year, so I never know exactly where it is. So that would be another gray spot is PE. Okay, then after that, I usually have this little break time between the two. And this break time in between the two is maybe change out of their PE clothes if they had PE in the morning. Say we didn't do, second period math, it was PE. Or it's a snack time. Might be, might not be, might be snack in the morning. Again, if you don't do snack, that doesn't apply to you. All things to consider. I'm just throwing it out there just in case it rings a bell with you and you go, yep, I have to plan a bathroom break before lunch, right? Or bathroom break before elective, you're going to be out of the room now, something like that. Okay, then academic here, fourth hour is where I was at. I'd usually do some type of reading. And then I do like a writing or literacy after lunch. Grooming, hygiene, self-care is also another great thing to put in after lunch, if that's something you do. I know all my students go to the bathroom, they brush their teeth, they wash their face, they put on deodorant, all after lunch. Again, typically we usually have PE in the morning, so that kind of goes hand in hand. Sometimes we even have it fourth period, so they're out of the room for hours. But again, something just to consider and think about. And then 7, 8, 9 is usually more of a vocational tasks. Maybe I'll do some one-on-one work with students. You know, we might do some type of station or rotation where my aide runs something, and then I'll do one-on-one IEP goals with the students. Or we do like a board game, or they go to the gym and play. Again, end of the day, usually by 1:30, my students are out. They are exhausted. Check. Do you do science and social studies? So with part of my program, they include science and social studies into our reading curriculum, and they're calling cooking science. I know that's not applicable, but that might be why I do like a reading and literacy kind of thing. I might not do writing and literacy every day. It could switch into like a science, you know, maybe do science twice a week, maybe a social studies twice a week. And then I can say like, I did writing on Mondays. And it's okay to do that. You don't have to teach academics every single day, like the same academic every single day. I know people might tell you things differently, but I want you to feel okay with rotating the schedule. So this year, like I said, I'm a virtual teacher this year, and they've shortened my day immensely. So I have like 25 minutes with the students for 6 class periods. So on Monday, we do a science experiment. On Tuesday, what do we do? A virtual community trip is on Tuesday. Wednesday, we do writing. Thursday, we do current events. And then Friday, we do cooking. And that's like what I needed to do once a week with the kids to like meet minutes and things like that. Must follow gen ed curriculum, told to do science and social studies every day. So how I would do that is take your academic reading time, academic math time, something like that, and split it. I'm sure there's certain minutes you have to meet, like 60 minutes a day, something like that. I would get creative, I think is the best way to describe it. If you have to meet a certain amount of minutes of a academic standard or academic content, I would say make sure you get creative, right? You can put reading into science. They're reading about science concepts, it's reading. Because I believe the suggested reading is 120 minutes for most students. I think it's 90 to 120, don't quote me. But they suggest something evolved in that. That's why I have science, social studies, and reading, literacy, all kind of combined. And it helps me, at 90 to 120. That's what I thought. I think it just kind of depends on the age, but you can embed, like I said, reading in science and social studies. Science and social studies can be embedded in reading. You know, I know you're focusing on the gen ed curriculum. So I would say then, just kind of get creative, read the book, reading the text. You can focus on WH questions, comprehension, fluency, and, you know, like I said, get creative. Like you can have science topics all about reading. Just maybe you see if you're reading and math standards during reading to count those minutes. Yeah, I would agree. Like, see if you can try to bring other content areas and make sure you're meeting your minutes. I would just make sure you're doing that. Okay. We okay so far? think so. Creativity is the key, combining content areas. Yes, I completely agree. And I think that is the best way to get creative. All right, I talked way too much about schedule. How would you incorporate phonics and sight words into the day? I could do it in the homeroom. That's where I usually do it. I bring a vocab word or a sight word. A lot of my students have communication devices, so we bring in core words, core word of the week, vocabulary word of the week, sight word of the week. And again, you can bring it back into when you're doing reading, science, social studies, whatever you're doing in your content area there. Okay, I'm going to stop. I'm going to come on back here. Okay, so I can see you all again. Okay, questions before I move on for the next probably 5 minutes talking about planning, which is going to be more curriculum planning. And I want to save the last 5 minutes for any other Q&As. I know this time goes fast. Good so far. Like I said, I know I talk fast too. Okay, so when you are, I'm actually going to give you a couple links. When you are deciding what to teach and how to teach your units, you need to look at some things before you even do that. So I'm going to send you, I have a couple blog posts. If you are a blog post reader, if you are not, that's fine. I'm going to kind of give you the brief overview of this. And it's basically about curriculum mapping. Oh, did I send it to everyone in the waiting room? Yeah, okay. This thing doesn't like me. Well then, I want to send it to everyone in the meeting. There you go. Now you can see it. Okay, so there's part one. So curriculum mapping, unit outline planning, whatever that is. So there's one in part two, part one and part two. So this takes some time, which is why I kind of wanted to put it in your heads before the school year is approaching. Okay, so look at what curriculum you have. And if you don't have curriculum, which I know many people don't, figure out what's available in your district. What might you have? Okay. What can you look at? If you're looking at the gen ed curriculum, ask to see a scope and sequence prior to, right? Try to see if you can create some type of plan, at least for the first quarter, first semester, first trimester, whatever you work on, and try to see if there's anything you can supplement with it. I know Reading A to Z, Epic are great resources to find things as far as reading. So if you want to find a science topic or a science concept, you can go right there. I'm just bringing in science because that's what we were talking about. So first, obviously, you're going to look at the standards for your grade level. If you use adapted standards, do that. Like Illinois uses essentials, essential elements. So if you use something like that, look at the standards for your grade level. If you are across multiple grade levels, make sure you're aware of those and see if there's any overlapping. So I have 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. So what I try to do is I see all of them need to know fractions in different ways, but that might be something that I can bring into a unit and create if I don't already have the curriculum to support that. Again, you have to look at academic student levels. So many of the students that I get are between a pre-K and a very low first grade level. So I know they're not going to be working on multiplying fractions, which a 6th, 7th, and 8th grade student should be doing. So I might talk about how we read a recipe and we're trying to double the recipe or take it in half, something like that, where you can get creative thinking about where my students are at. Can they see the numbers? Can they read, what the fraction is? Kind of get that basic down. See if your district has standards too. Your district might have like program standards for you guys if you don't have state standards. And if it's based on the general ed curriculum, get creative, man. That's a tough one. Like I think adapted standards are what you need. And if your state doesn't use it for whatever reason, get creative. say you're trying to get there, you're trying to reach that standard, because it's not easy. Okay, look at your curriculum. What curriculum do you have? Do they have standards in there? Is there units in there that you can already use? If you're using math equals, you're using unique. I know many of us use unique. And then whatever supplemental materials are available. You might have like an IXL or Reading A to Z, Raz Kids, something like that. That would be your supplement things. Moby Max is another one I know I've used. Brain Pop, that's kind of a supplement. It's not a curriculum, but put it in there. And then student IEP goals. If you have a student working on, oh gosh, I don't know, crossing the street, like you're not going to be doing an entire unit about crossing the street, but you really got to try to get creative. Like, okay, let's count the steps we take to get across the street. Now we're doing counting and math, and get a little fun there. Okay. If your state doesn't have extended adapted standards, may try looking at another state to see theirs and apply it to your gen ed standards in your state. You definitely could do that. I've said just be careful with that, because I know there's some schools that really want you to focus on the gen ed curriculum standards, which is just not feasible sometimes. Okay, I do want to stop recording. Any following questions? I know that was so brief. And like I said, the blog post that I added there can help define it a little bit more. I'm always up for anybody to send me a message. I'm always on my social media. I'll definitely be on there tonight if for some reason you're like, you went too fast, I need help, because that sounds like me, because I just get excited. Honestly. Okay. Any other questions? Math is always challenging for me. How do you go about mapping that? Yeah, I can email the blog post. Yep, for sure. How can I go out mapping for that? All right, Laura, I'm going to send you a message separately, if that's okay. I'll talk to you after this.